Hi, I'm Becky from Genie Frog Crochet and welcome to today's video. If you've been making the baby blanket with me, this will be the last video. So I'm going to show you today how to weave in your ends and how to make your border and also how to make this scalloped edging. If you haven't been making the blanket, this is a video just generally of how to do a border on a striped blanket. So hopefully it will be able to help you too. What you're going to need today is you're going to need a darning needle for weaving in your ends and scissors and crochet hook, and I am going to be using the white yarn from my blanket to make my border, but it's absolutely up to you what colour border you want to make. Here is my little sample piece that I've been making with you, but obviously if you are making the blanket with me, then you will have finished off on this pink row here, because you will have done the green, yellow and orange that I've done, but then you would have also done the blue, purple and the pink, and you would have done that all twice. So let's pop that to one side and I will show you top, bottom, right. So first of all, before you start weaving in your ends, you need to decide on a front and a back for your blanket. It doesn't make a huge amount of difference for a stripy blanket, but I just like to know, particularly with a scalloped edge, it's nice. Probably nobody else will know what the front and the back is, but you will know. So I've decided to make this the front of my blanket. So I've fastened off on the last section, and this is going to be the front. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my work over to show you on the back how to weave in the ends. So what I've suggested in the pattern and what I'm going to do with this particular blanket is I'm just going to weave in the coloured ends, but I'm going to leave the white tails out because I'm going to crochet over those as I'm doing the border, but I will show you how to do that, so don't panic. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start with this orange tail, and what you're going to do is you're going to pop your tail end on your hook. Now generally you should go back and forth, I'd say 2 to 3 times. I'm going to do 2 times on this blanket so that the actual end is closest to the border, because again, with the border going over it, it makes it even less likely that it's going to poke its pesky little head out. What you've got to remember with weaving in ends, I have seen some people use things like fabric glue, and I've never had an issue with since I learnt to weave in ends properly, I've never had an issue with ends poking out. I mean, my best friend's got a blanket that's very, very well loved by all of her family, and I inspect it every time I go round there, and it's fingers crossed, so far so good. So what we're going to do is we're going to get this orange yarn that we've got on our hook, on our needle, and I'm going to weave the ends through these single crochet stitches that we made in the white section. And the general rule is, you can crochet over your ends as well, like I'm going to show you on the border, but if you can also try to go through some sneaky little fibers as well, it just gives it a little bit more friction, and there's even less likelihood that it's going to work its way loose. So I'm going to pull that through. Not too tightly, but tightly enough that it's just nice and snug in there. And then I'm going to go back in the other direction. Again, trying to get under a few layers of the yarn. And then out the other side. And pull it through. There we go, and then I'm just going to snip off the end, and hey presto, one hidden tail. So I'm going to do the same with the yellow. I'll show you this. And then, I'll flip it around the other side then as well so you can see. So again, I'm going to go underneath. Let me get this nice and close so that you can see it. Oops, fluff. I'm going to go underneath the stitches themselves, like so. But also I'm going to try to catch through some of the, you almost want to pierce your yarn like that from your other stitches, just to give it a little bit more. There we go. I'm going to turn around, pull that all the way through, pull it tight-ish. And it's absolutely up to you how far along you want to go. And again, you can crochet over these edges, but I purposely didn't, just so that I could show you, because it's one of the things that you forget that you don't sort of know how to do automatically. I did make a few mistakes when I first learned how to crochet. So I'm going to catch that yellow yarn there, under there, and through, and almost, I mean, the harder it is to get your needle through, the less chance, or the harder it's going to be for the end to poke its way out. So there we go. Pull that tight, like so. And then snip that off. So if we twist it around to the other side, I just show you this yellow one, which is our double crochet, I believe. Show you one more time, and then you can pause the video and do the others yourself, and I will do the same. So we're going to go under the first loop. There's lots of different ways to weave in ends. As I say, some people use glue, some people don't sort of weave back and forth at all, they just crochet over it once and that's it. But I think going back and forth a couple of times at least gives it less chance, particularly with a baby blanket, because it's going to be well loved, it's going to be well washed with a baby. We're going to go back through this side and catch a bit of a loop there, all the way through to the other side. There we go. And again, don't pull it too tight. Snip the end off. And I'm just going to pause the video while I do these last green ones, and I will catch up with you in a second. Okay, so that's all my coloured ends gone, and just the white tails left. So I'm going to turn it back over to the front. So you will have, don't forget, you will have your pink row at the top here, and your yarn tail will be on the left hand side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a slip knot on my hook, like so. And then I'm going to join in the first stitch in the top right hand corner, which will be this stitch here, and I'm going to join with a standing single crochet, like so. And I have to check the pattern, hang on a second. Yeah, and then we're going to make a chain 2, 1, 2, and then we're going to put another single crochet into that same stitch, and we are making a corner. So another single crochet in that same stitch, So there we go. And now if you're making the baby blanket with me, you are going to then single crochet in the next 108 stitches. So it will basically be until you get all the way along to your last stitch. So obviously this isn't 108 for me, but it will be 108 for you. So that'll be 108. And in this last stitch, you're going to put a single crochet, chain 2, and then another single crochet in the same stitch. And that is your second corner. And then you're going to turn your work so that you're going to be working along the side of your blanket. Now there is a tendency for working along the edges of stripy blankets. It can look a bit messy, but I don't think it does. I'm just going to say it. So if I show you, hang on, let me move that out of the way a sec. So I think it all depends how you, I think the charm sometimes of handmade things is that they're not perfect like you'd get them in a shop, and they do have that personal touch, and you can see that somebody's actually put love and effort into making it. So, and I think, yes, the argument can be made that these stitches along the edge here can look a bit clunky and messy going into a striped blanket, but you know, it's who cares, basically. I don't. So I'm going to show you how to do it anyway. Oops. The general rule is just if you make sure you space your stitches out well enough, it shouldn't be too noticeable. So I'm going to, as I told you, I'm going to take my white tails from the main body of the blanket, and I'm going to crochet over them. So in the pattern doing the blanket, you are going to single chain 2, single. You're going to work 118 single crochets down the side of your blanket. And when I say space them out, I basically mean within reason, go into each sort of sensible, available space. So if you can see, I'm holding my tail on the back there, and I'm working my stitches over it. I'm going to go into that space there. And with these trebles, I tend to do 2 along the treble, and then 1 in that space, and then again 2 along the treble. And 1 in that space. And then I'm going to drop that tail that I've been going over and pick up the next one here. And just don't forget to count along the way 118 stitches down the side of your blanket. And as you can see, as long as you space them evenly, then your border will look lovely and as neat as it can be. We're going to go all the way down the edge. So by all means, pause if you need to. because obviously I'm going to get to the bottom of my blanket a lot quicker than you are, because this is a wee dolly's blanket. There we go. Going to drop that tail again at the back there, pick up my next one, all the way down. 118 single crochets. And what I usually do is, if I'm sort of getting towards the end, I'll have a bit of a count, because you don't want, if you haven't got enough, you don't want to bunch them all in right at the end. So if you haven't got enough space for the amount that you have left, just pull a few out and put a few less in, or if you need to fit more in, put a few more in. It's trial and error with, I don't actually do borders on striped blankets very often. I tend to do centre out work, so it's been a while since I've done one of these. And then, oh, I've got my two tails there from where I made a mistake way back in video 1, if you watched that. All the way along. To the end. And then in this last stitch here, which will be your starting chain, we are going to do a single crochet, chain 2 and single crochet, and that is your bottom corner. And then we're going to do single crochets all along the bottom. Again, you're going to be doing 108. And these do look slightly different because you're working into the bottom of a chain. So you'll only be going under, let's have a look. You'll go under the 2 loops of your chain. You can see that. Clearly. So there's your starting chain. Don't just go through under this 1 loop here. You want to make sure you go through the 2 loops there, all the way along the bottom of your blanket. All the way, all the way, all the way. Oops. Until you get to the second to last stitch. Like that. And then in that last chain space, you're going to make a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. There we go. That's 3 edges done, and then the same again. You're just going to, hang on, let me scroll my pattern. You're going to evenly space 118 single crochets along this edge. Again, picking up your white tails along the way. And just try to hold it against the back of your work. Let me show you what I mean. So I'm going to pop my yarn through and make sure the white yarn is held down underneath it as I crochet over it. Make sure your stitches are nice and evenly spaced. So this is round 1 of the border. We're not going to be changing colours at all for the border if you're doing my colourway. So don't snip your yarn at the end, don't do a me. Pick up your next tail end. Oops. Like I said, it can be a bit fiddly, fitting these stitches across the edge. As long as they're spaced nice and evenly, by the time you've finished your border, I don't think they look too bad at all. So 2 in the treble, 1 in the stitch space. 2 in the treble, 1 in the stitch space. All the way along to the end. And then your first single crochet that you made, you're going to slip stitch into that standing single crochet. So you're going to insert your hook, grab your yarn and pull it through, and then you're going to pull that through the loop on your hook, and that is a slip stitch. So for round 2, you're going to slip stitch into your corner chain space. So you're going to pop it into the chain space and do a slip stitch. And then you're going to chain 1 and make another corner. So you're going to do a single crochet, chain 2 and single crochet, all in that chain 2 space from your last row. And then you are basically just going to single crochet in every stitch around, exactly the same. It's a bit easier now because you've already done your counting. So it'll be 110 single crochets along the top and bottom. And when you get to your chain 2 corner space, oops, last stitch, when you get to your corner space, in that corner space you're going to make another corner, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, and then along the side you're going to be doing 120 single crochets. So do that along the sides, along the bottom and back up the other side, and I'll meet up with you at the end. So I'm just on the last few singles of round 2 of your border. Single crochet into your slip stitch. That can be a bit tricky, so make sure you don't miss your slip stitch. And then you're going to slip stitch again into that first single crochet that you did. And again, slip stitch into your chain 2 space. And then round 3 is exactly the same as round 2. So you're going to chain 1 and make, oops, I'm doing a half double or a double or something, I don't know what I was doing there. Chain 1 and then you're going to make a single crochet, chain 2 and single crochet into your chain 2 corner space, and you're going to do the exact same as you did in round 2 for round 3. So single crochet into every stitch in your chain 2 corner space, make single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, and then single all the way along. Do that all the way around, and I will catch up with you then. So last couple of stitches, and then you're going to slip stitch into your last single crochet as you did before, slip stitch into your corner space, and this time we are going to do our shells. So for the corners on this round, we're going to chain 1 just to get up to the working height, and then in the corner space you're going to make 3 single crochets. 1, 2, 3. Now working along the top and the bottom, you skip the first 3 stitches, but working on the side, you skip the first 2. So bear with me. I am going to be doing a written pattern for this, which I will put the link in the description. So along the top of our blanket, what we're going to do is we're going to skip the first 3 stitches. So 1, 2, 3. And in the next stitch, you're going to make 5 double crochets, all in the same stitch. So we're going to yarn over, go into the stitch, and make a double crochet. And we're going to make 4 more of those. And this is making our shell. 3, 4, 5. And then you're going to skip 2 stitches, and then in the next stitch work a single crochet, and then skip 2 and work 5 doubles to make your shell. And you're going to do that all the way along. Skip 2, single, skip 2, 5 double. 5 double, skip 2, single, skip 2, 5 double. Three, 4, 5. Obviously, my count is going to be a little bit out now because my blanket's considerably smaller. So going along the top of your blanket, you're going to do the skip 2, single, skip 2, 5 double. You're going to do that 18 times. So basically you're going to do it until there is 2 stitches left. So 2 single, yeah, mine doesn't quite work out right. So I'm actually going to, I should have not skipped 3, I should have just skipped 2. But I was doing it just to show you anyway. I'll sort that out in a sec. So you'll have your 5 double crochet will be in here, in this stitch here. And then you'll have 2 singles left. And then you will make 3 single crochets in your corner stitch. So let me see if I can get this to work out for me with my little baby sample blanket. So what's that? 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You would think that I would have foreseen this, but no, that would take an organised brain. Mine is not that. Single in there. I'm gonna do 5 doubles in there. So obviously you don't fudge it like this. You follow what I said. Unless you're making a dolly-sized blanket like me. Sometimes with a scallop border, you can put it on any blanket, and sometimes you do have to kind of, it's good because it's only 1 or 2 stitches that you'll be missing, or so it doesn't actually show up that much. So I'll skip the last 2 stitches as you would, and then in the corner you do 3 single crochets, and then turn your work again, so you're working along the side, and then you're going to do the same thing again. So you're going to skip the first 2 on this side, don't forget, and you're going to make 5 double crochets in the next stitch. So skip 2, 5 doubles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you're going to skip 2 single, and you're going to do that all the way along the edge. So skip 2, 5 double crochets, skip 2 single crochet, skip 2 5 double crochets, skip 2 single crochet, and I will fathom out how my stitch count is worked out, and I will catch you up at the next corner. So I'm just doing my last shell along the side. I think I keep calling them shells and scallops. They're both. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you skip the last 2, and in your chain 2 corner space, 3 single crochets. And then you turn your work again. And to go along the bottom, you are going to skip the first 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and make 5 double crochets in the next stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you're back to your skip 2 single, skip 2, 5 doubles. And this is an example of how the basic stitches make up more sort of complicated stitches. So this shell stitch or fan stitch or scallop, it's just single crochets and double crochets, but it depends on how you group them, where you put them, how many stitches you skip in between. So fascinating stuff. So yeah, you're going to do exactly the same all the way along to your corner. Then you're going to do 3 single crochets in your corner. You're going to turn again, and along the other edge you're going to skip the first 2 stitches, and then shell stitch, skip 2 single crochet, skip 2 shell stitch, skip 2 single crochet, all the way along to the end, and then fasten off. I will meet you there. So I'm just completing my last shell. 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to skip the last few stitches. And if you find your first 3 single crochets you made into your corner, you want to join to that first single crochet with a slip stitch. So pop your hook through, grab your yarn, pull it through and pull it through the loop, and then we're going to fasten off exactly the same way we fastened off every row. So we're going to snip the yarn as if you're making a chain 1 and pull all the way through and pull it nice and tight. Then what you can do is you can flip your blanket back over, and these yarn tails then that you crocheted over, what I do is I like to go around and just give them a little bit of a tug to make sure they're nice and tight in there. And then you can weave those in the same way you did with the others. And that is that. So apologies for being a bit scatty again, but I've no doubt you're used to that now if you have been following along with this blanket with me. And I hope you've enjoyed making it. I hope you've learned something. I am going to start now doing sort of quite regular tutorials on various bits and bobs that I think will be interesting to make. I think possibly for the next thing that I make with you, I will make the whole thing with you to make it less confusing than just doing this little sample piece, because I got my count all wrong then. But thank you so much for joining me. Hopefully you'll join me again next time. Please hit subscribe and follow my channel. And also you can nip over if you're on Facebook, who's not, and Instagram, some people aren't. And you can follow me on there as well. And thank you so much. Love you all. Bye bye.